Palmieri, political and communications strategist. She's got a new book called Dear Madam President, an open letter to the women who will run the world. Good morning, Jennifer, and how are you?
I'm great, Doug. Thanks for having me.
The concept behind the book, I think, is pretty simple, that women are asserting themselves more and more and being hired or elected in more and more positions. New York Times just had an article about that with the number of women who are running for office this fall in this country. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah, it is. Women are running in record numbers, and you saw there was a big primary last Tuesday. There's another one again today, and women won most of the primaries that they ran in. So it is, there's been a lot of setbacks, particularly those of us who weren't happy with the outcome of the election. But I think that a lot of women took that as a sign that they needed to get involved in themselves and feel empowered to do it. So I try to look at this time as somewhat difficult but exhilarating.
You know, we were just talking about this earlier in the show, and really, I think it is just a matter of time before we do have a female president.
I think that's right. I think that it could happen as early as 2020. And, depending on how you keep score, Hillary proved that a woman could win. She got more votes in the popular vote. It's not that I don't think America's ready for a woman president. I think they are. It didn't, for lots of reasons, it didn't work out this time. But even if she had won, I still saw just how there continues to be obstacles in the way for women, and questions that we have, unease that we have still with women and ambition, women embracing ambition. And so I thought that if I wrote the book as a letter of advice to the first woman president, it would have advice that could apply to women across the board, whether they're interested in politics or just how they engage in their community or work.
We have gotten past the point, which frankly was around a number of years ago, where women can't do this job because they're so emotional, especially at certain times of the month. Witness the fact that we had a Southwest Airlines flight that was being piloted by a woman who was one of the first Air Force line pilots flying fighter jets, and also flew FA-18 aircraft fighter jets, and handled a tremendously dangerous situation brilliantly. And we're finding other women who are in similar circumstances. So hopefully that whole thing has been put to bed.
I think that, I think it has been in terms of women being, are there certain jobs women can't do? I feel like, and in some ways I feel like Hillary's campaign helped squelch that. But I actually am, I am emotional. I am somebody who's really strong. I'm graded in crisis. I'm also somebody that's easily moved to tears if I am talking about something that I care about, or I might get frustrated. And I certainly have cried at work many times, and I feel like that's okay too. That's we don't have to behave. Women don't need to behave like men. Men don't need to behave like women. And there's probably sort of old customs and models in the workplace that hold both of us back.
We've seen Presidents Obama and Bush cry publicly under certain circumstances. So I don't know that having emotions and emoting and showing those emotions is necessarily a sign of weakness or a bad thing.
I think you're right, and I think more people are seeing that. I know a lot of women still feel, I was talking with one woman who had gotten really frustrated at something at her work and had cried about it and felt that she'd been exposed. And I thought that was such a telling way to describe it, because I think that we feel that women can feel that if you do that it somehow exposes you as not belonging, like you're not tough enough to fit in here, that it's somehow still a man's world. And I don't think that, I've always felt really supported in my career by both men and women both. I've never felt like I was being, held back purposely. But I do think that there are still these sort of either limitations that women put on ourselves or that that signal society has picked us up on the way that tells us there are certain ways we're supposed to behave, and that's what I really think we need to shed now. I don't think anybody looks at the world today and thinks that we have all the answers, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody thinks that. And if men and women both felt free to bring more of themselves to however they engage in the world, in their family, in a workplace, in politics, and that includes being willing to show emotion, that the world's we need to share more of ourselves. I think that can help build some more empathy and some bridges. So that's something I'm always striving to find ways for us to do.
Very good. Listen, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Jennifer Palmieri, political and communications strategist. Her new book is called Dear Madam President, an open letter to the women who will